What's going on, world? Welcome to episode 11 on Word on the Streets. Replace the E's with threes. It's your man, Vince Chang, a.k.a. The Energy, the one and only, the 3x3, just master of everything, just a concierge of the game, the one and only Bas Rosenthal, a.k.a. The Mountain. What's good, bro? Kyle Montgomery, the voice. This man's having some technical difficulties. I think the voice ain't voicing. He's been screaming at every single tournament, or he missed a flight. I don't know. He's not here. We miss you, bro. We miss you. But this has been a crazy couple of tournaments. We got a lot of things in store. The World Cup is just inching here. But before we get into the episode, Bas, how you doing, bro?
Well, I'm good in the sense that we are now smack dab in the middle of 3x3 season, so I'm very excited and happy about that. But as you can tell, I'm sitting a little crooked here. I'm feeling very old, and I'll tell you why. There's some pickup runs out here in the Netherlands that feature some elite level talent. I'm talking NBA, G League, and high level college and pros. I got called in to play.
Okay.
I didn't know if I could still handle that, and I did for the last 2 weeks. But it does take a toll on the body, so my back is destroyed right now. I can't do anything. My back is twisted. It feels like somebody's sticking a knife in my kidney. I'm very sore, but I'm happy to say that I kind of held my own there against some elite level talent, so I can still hoop.
Okay.
But I don't know if I'll be trying this one again. So I'm good. I'm good. Weekend off actually, as we're not dating this, but I'm doing a lot of these commentary things on the weekend. I'm not doing any of this weekend. So how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good too. I've been sleeping on the couch, just handling man stuff, just making sure I'm going back and forth in Brooklyn. But I gotta admit, I want to shout out you. I want to shout out Kyle. You guys have been helping me through this little time. Look, everybody out there, there's a test of everything in your life, and you got to be either prepared for it or you just take it. If you fail, so what? But at least you took it. I know I'm being tested right now, but I got the support of you and Kyle. But back to your back situation, I'm still playing ball. The hand that you guys can see is movable, but movable. I just made up a word. Okay, I don't know if moveable's a word, but it's movable.
We'll use it.
Can't play. But did you stretch before the game? That's what I want to ask, though.
Yeah, so the problem is I used to not stretch much, right? So now I go into the gym. I see all these people that I know, not the players per se, but there's some coaches on the sideline. There's some 3x3 players hanging out at the same spot. So I go talk to all of them. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the guy goes, yeah, we're starting. We do start with a light warm-up, though. Okay. In the sense that we started with some slight post work and maybe some 2-on-2 stuff, 3-on-3 stuff. So I did get warmed up, but again, I haven't played 5-on-5. This is a 5-on-5 pickup run, by the way. I usually play 3-on-3, a 3x3, obviously, on Wednesdays with kind of like the old fellas, right? So Jesper Jobse, Aaron Royer, Maxim Kovacevic, like the guys that used to play that are now transitioned into other roles, 3x3 nights for Jesper, and obviously national team coaches for the other two fellas. So I'll play with them, but that's 3x3. 3x3 is a different beast because it's only half court, and at our age, you shoot a lot of twos, and then that decides who wins. Yeah. 5-on-5. I hadn't played 5-on-5 in a while,
bro.
And so going up and down a court and running really took a toll on me. So the warm up was fine. Then we started playing these full court games, and it just at some point I started running up and back, and I was like, why is my back pinching? Oh, this hurts a little bit. I'm not sure. My knee, my toe, and So after the final game, I just sat down, and then I took myself home. I almost crawled in the house, and my wife looked at me, and she was like, "Why do you do this to yourself?"
What?
And I honest to God, don't have an answer for you. But I still hoop, which is, I guess, what counts.
I mean, that's what counts. But man, I've seen you walk. You kind of walk like the Beast Titan naturally. So I guess right now you got another kind of limp to it. But anyway, I step back. I don't know if that's a pause. Oh, dang. I thought we were going to do one without a pause. Oh, we're good.
Oh, my goodness. You called your own.
Yeah, I did real quick. But y'all, this episode 11, this is Smokes in the Lowlands and Fire on the French Coast. We got a lot to catch up on. Again, word on the streets, replace the E's with threes. Here we go. All right, now we gotta make sure we gotta know what's going on. Bas, you've been absolutely amazing with keeping us updated. So what's the news we gotta know with 3x3?
All right, I got a couple items. I think the main important one for the pro circuit is that there are now 2 new world tours added to the roster, bringing us to a total of 18 events for the season. World Tour Day King added. I think that might be the first one out there. I'm not sure, actually.
I don't think.
But it's smack dab in the middle of that stretch that we have out in the east of the world with Macau and Shenzhen and Shanghai, I think. So Day King added, as well as a very timely ad in World Tour Bucharest. So in the original schedule, we had a World Tour in Abu Dhabi at the end of October, and then nothing until the finals at the end of November. A full month of nothing, no challenger events as well.
Oh, really?
So that means teams are going to get out of rhythm. They're not going to be as in tune. You know, and that means the level of the finals might have suffered. Might. Not sure if it would have. But they add Bucharest right there at the start of November to kind of bridge the gap. I'm very happy because I know Romania is a huge 3x3 country. I've been there plenty of times. I think there's several locations where they could organize this. I'm hoping for the circus again. I'm not sure if they'll get that. But that circus looked really cool in past events. So fingers crossed for that. But I'm very happy that they added those 2 stops to the roster of tournaments for the year. Some shifts in the challenger events as well, which I won't really go into. But I'm hoping you're as excited as I am. That's what I'm hoping for.
I'm excited for these challengers. I mean, right now we have a challenger going on right now. If I pronounce it right, I think Sukbatar. Sukbatar. And I'm looking at the lineup in the challenger. I forget, like, these are legit teams competing. I mean, looking at Oob going in there, London's looking strong, Chao Ming's in there, Ulaanbaatar, even Hangzhou, and I'm like, I gotta think we gotta start commentating these challengers again, because there's a lot of competition that's going on. Kyle and you will be talking about Lusail and stuff, saying that, yo, did you watch this game? I'm like, I don't people paying attention to these challengers, so I'm excited for new ones.
Yeah, I used to commentate on them last year. I don't think they're doing commentary on them this year. Wish they would, though, because they're really cool events. Also, because you get a sense of the local tournament teams as well. And so World Tours, usually you get one of those wild card teams. They'll end up in a qualifying draw. You might or might not see them. But in the challenger events, there's a lot more slots for a local organizer to bring in talent from local leagues, from whatever teams you can find out there. And I used to enjoy that a lot. It gave me some new information coming into the World Tours as well, where some of those teams would actually qualify. All right, next item is the qualification cycle for Vienna is ended, so all teams are set. We already knew Vienna was going to get the wild card from the organizer, obviously. But now we have, through a tournament in Israel, Tel Aviv qualify. We haven't seen them on the pro circuit in a couple of years, I believe. I'm curious to see what they can bring. Barcelona also qualifying out of a Vienna qualification tournament. I don't mind Barcelona all that much. I think they got a cool squad. They looked all right today in that Sukbatar Challenger as well. They did drop out of pool play, but some close squads, close games from that squad, I mean. And then lastly, Partizan qualifying out of the 3x3 Grand Series in Thessaloniki, Greece. So Partizan, bringing their total of World Tour Masters, I think, to 4 now with that qualification. All 4 coming through tournament qualifications. I don't think they got a lot of allocation through FIBA. Maybe 1. I'm not sure. But anyway. In that tournament as well, Lausanne, Rifa, the Skyliners, Amsterdam, London, Toulouse, and then from the Hongqiang Challenger, as we mentioned before, Hangzhou, Radanvaris, and Utrecht. And of course, Miami and Oob qualified directly. And there's a cross wild card going to the young Germans for Baskets Bonn as well. There's a lot of team names I just mentioned. But look, this is a stacked World Tour. So we're going to preview that in a bit, but it is going to be cool. I'm excited. I've seen
Exposito play. I've seen Zacha play on Barcelona, so I know they got some talent. What we got to talk about, I don't know why I am a huge Milos Supica fan, or Supica, it's pronounced right. The way he plays, I think he adds like this college athleticism to a grown man body if he can control that. The Gladiators always dope to watch as well. And again, we could break down these teams left and right. I know if Kai was here, he would immediately start talking about his golden boy, his number one pick, Mr. Giesman from Baskets. And I mean, there is a somewhat of a learning curve. I'm looking at players who are just getting the 3x3, and the more tournaments they're playing in, they are getting a lot better. But this tournament, I will agree, is stacked. And once we break that down, I can honestly say I don't know who's going to take that tournament at all. I don't know.
It's been that type of year, too.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I mean, we've got several different Masters winners, no one repeating just yet. Some surprises. We'll get into all that in a little bit. I got some more news for you,
Let's
though.
do it.
We finally got our first look at the World Tour rankings. Amsterdam now in the lead after playing in all 4 of the first 4 Masters. They got 3 finals runs in those. They are apparently the new Paris. Because they've lost all those finals.
Yeah.
5th in Amsterdam, which I think personally to me was a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
But, again, 1st in the World Tour standings. They're kind of ahead of the pack here, too, as Miami's in 2nd, with a 1st place, of course, in the opener and a 3rd place in Marseille. Then Toulouse, actually climbed the rankings after that win in Marseille. So that, I'm sure we'll talk about that later. We're going to save that one.
Yeah.
That's a juicy bit right there.
But another juicy is Ron Tavares being in 5th. I mean, we got to give him more credit where credit's due, I think, with Lithuania. We got to give the Lithuanians more credit. But again, we'll talk about it in a little bit, man.
It is recency bias with them. They have not played in the last 2 master events, so curious to see when we can see more of them. As I do believe, are they in Vienna? I just mentioned that. Let's check. They are.
Yes, they are. They're 6.
All right, so we'll see them back in Vienna, of course, but they have not played in the last 2 Masters. Lehmann have played in the last 2 Masters. They come in 6th after a finals run in Amsterdam and 6th place in Marseille. I know you're excited about that squad.
Oh, yes, I am. Sorry. I'm just going to say that. Yeah. That's all I want to hear.
Yeah, I was going to say your hair is going to turn yellow, but there's not much to turn yellow there. Anyway.
Word, bro. Why are you shooting at me? All right, you know what? Just because you got your Seth Green goddamn T-shirt, look like you about to sell mushrooms on the side. Don't talk to me. You look comfy. All right. All
right. So rounding out the top 10 here is Vienna at 7, Hangzhou at 8, Chongming surging into the top 10 at 9, and then Lausanne at 10. Lausanne, I think, only there by virtue of playing in the 3 out of 4 Masters, but they have not looked good. I'll get back to that. Some roster movements as well.
Yes.
I'll start from the lower ranked team. So Utrecht had a new player, Lajo Gransan. We've seen Lajo in the past perform for a couple of 3x3 teams now. But he's a rangy, kind of big. So I'd say he's a screener, but he can play pick and pop as well. He's athletic. He's played his pro basketball in several places in Europe over the last few years. He's an offensive weapon as well, and I think they are going to try to play with him in a tournament coming up here. So I think he might sub in for Di Maio at times, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think Di Maio would be subbed out. Then London at Evan Walsh. Evan Walsh of Team Great Britain, of course, a teammate of Ashley Hamilton. He was a part of that Europe Cup quarterfinals run last year. Curious to see what he can bring to the pro circuit. We've not had the pleasure of seeing him on the pro circuit all that much.
Nope.
But a 6th player for London. And then I think the biggest one that I could find is Rifa at a 5th player. And I'm gonna look at my laptop for the name here.
Who is this guy?
Because this guy's never played 3x3 before. The man's name is Mohammed Hassan Abdul Nabi Ali Kawaid. And I don't know if I pronounced that right. But he is playing. So for now, he is playing the Vienna Masters. So I'm very curious because I do think Rifa needs some help. So let's see if this is the type of talent that can put them back in that that spot that we usually see them in. Yeah. Because look, Rifa out of the top 10 for now after not performing well in the first couple of Masters. No. And it's not a place that because they're usually in 3rd. True. Literally, they've been in 3rd for the last few seasons. And then last but not least, the biggest news I would say to come out of the entire FIBA for me Not FIBA 3x3, mind you. This is the parent company, FIBA. And the biggest news coming out earlier this week is that the FIBA Central Board has announced that the federation ranking calculation is now not just 1 year, it's 2. And let me shift back here.
Break this.
So again, this sport is all about points.
Yes.
And for your federation ranking, the points count for your top, right now, 25 players, I believe. I think it will be shifted down to 20. So your top 20 players will count towards what's considered your federation ranking. That federation ranking is important. Why? Because on the men's side, if you are top 3, you get to the Olympics and you don't have to do anything else.
3. Okay.
Same on the women's side.
Okay.
So you want to get a high federation ranking. Now, usually, again, Serbia is way up there. The United States, China, those are countries that dominate these ranking systems.
Yeah.
With those rankings now pulled to a 2-year cycle instead of a 1 year, so points will start counting in December of 2025.
Okay.
Then it will go on in 2026, and then all the way to the end of 2027, which is when we'll determine the final rankings and pick the top teams that will perform in the Olympics right off the bat in 28.
Okay.
Now, bringing that to 2 years is big, not just because I think it promotes durability in the game and longevity in the game and sustainability in the game. I think it prevents these kind of hijacking of the point systems that we've seen in the past. And this is not look, everybody should do what they can do to get into the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
As long as it's legal. And I think all the stuff that we've seen happen so far has been legal. Yes. But we have seen China hijack the point system by bringing in a bunch of talent, pairing those with Chinese players, making sure they pick up a bunch of points.
Yeah.
And through that, and through a lot of local organization, which is lovely, I don't mind that again, we've seen them kind of hijack the system and make sure they get to the Olympics. That is going to be more difficult, or it's going to require them to invest for longer.
Okay.
Which I think is good for the sport. So, and again, this is not to get down on China. I just want to make that clear. I'm happy with how they, their place in this 3x3 ecosystem and universe. Yeah. But I'm very happy that cycle is lengthened now, so that we'll see more consistent investments instead of only a 1 year or 1.5 year investment from certain countries.
And I want to make sure I explain this so everybody can understand this. So the point system happens when you participate in a tournament, a Masters, a Challenger, anything with 3x3, right?
Bro, even if we play in a FIBA ranked system tournament on your street corner.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you do it. So what Bas is getting to is like literally within a year, you would see just the surplus of people going to these last minute things, and hijacking, and then all of a sudden their points are just going up gradually because within those last couple of months, you can then hit a couple of more that people can't go to because it costs money to, go to these certain tournaments. It costs money to ship all these players. Now, I'm correct with that, right?
Yes.
Now, with 2 years, now you can plan it out. Now more countries can go, okay, we can't make it there. How much time do we have here? So it's not really like a last-minute buzzer thing, and they can get their points somewhat fairly all around. Now, granted, powerhouses like America and China who have the bag, who got the purse to still send people, can still get the rankings up there. However, now more countries have a chance to have more players participate in more things for their country. So that sounds dope.
Yeah, and even the fact that, and it didn't say that in the news article, but I do think it's a part of this. The fact that the federation ranking will be shortened from 25 to 20 players means that countries that have less talent, maybe less money, could still get involved. I'll give you an example. Look, in the past, the people with the calculators in the back end of these federations, there's people that do this for a living, right? They'd have to account for 25 players. That means you'd have to have 2 filled out pro squads. Yep. So you're say in the Netherlands, you're Amsterdam and you're Utrecht. Yeah. That's 12 players loaded. Gotcha. Then you'd have to have an under 23 and possibly an under 21 squad perform in the Nations Leagues, and then you were a couple of players short of loading a full roster of 25. Oh wow. Now you can get by with 2 pro teams and a Nations League team, both on the men's and the women's side, by the way. You can get by with 2 pro teams and a Nations League team. 3 pro teams, obviously more preferable, because you can get more points in the pro circuit than you could in the Nations Leagues. But it's still, that means for federations that have a pro team tied to them and organizers as well, I think there's an easier path to try to get yourself up to world rankings. Look, I am not one of those people with a calculator. I try to be sometimes. But I do want
Makes
to give a
sense.
shout out to our last interview that we did. So if anybody wants to get more involved in those rankings and they want to figure out what to do, hit up Thrix Agency. Please check out our last post, the interview we did with Nico Widmer.
Saw that.
Because he is a genius in that department, and he knows exactly what to do.
Yeah.
So there's experts at all this stuff, and that's not my area of expertise. Let me be honest with you. I know of it. I know what to do in the point system, but that guy is a magician.
Dude, great job with that. I did watch that interview, and also that's why you're Professor Bas. I mean, I still want your huge lab coat, and I wish you had your glasses on to look smarter. But the saying, I remember he was talking, there was like a segment saying that the point of how do you make money on 3x3? You have to invest to get to tournaments. However, it has to be continuous, because now you could be losing money of just paying to go, but if you don't win, then you're 8 out. Now you're finding ways for there's a long-term investment. You're making it longer, so now there's somewhat of a ROI, but at the same time, longevity in the game. So he broke it down. Definitely check it out. I ain't going to give it away, but it's just an episode before that, which I'm going to give you flowers. Great interview, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
Look, that does conclude my news systems, my news rankings, though, here.
Yep. Now, we got the news out the way. Now we got to talk about what's happening now. We already been on 2 different parts of the world. We were in your backyard, and then we were in France's backyard. There were some rematches that happened, some rivalries that are coming about, even a skirmish that happened. That
yes.
Usually does it, and I'm going, this is 3x3. Yes, we're in the Olympics, but it's still street ball. So we're going to break down Amsterdam and Marseille in just a moment. Bas, I saw you in your hometown a couple of weeks ago in Amsterdam. And I think it was absolutely rude for you to have a Masters without me. Okay, you could have booked me for this past weekend. Again, we got one-on-one. Again, one of the best times ever. Shout out to your family, Kirsten, the little ones. Thank you. All right, but you were on the ground with our man Kyle Montgomery, the voice, at this fantastic venue. You took me out to the spot. It's like this. And again, go to Amsterdam. You got, what's that place called with like all the warehouses and stuff?
So it's the NDSM Wharf.
NDSM Wharf. Yeah, it was dope. There was a rave going on when you took me, but you literally said, this is when the tournament and where the tournament is going to be. I mean, explain how it was, because you did both. You were a twofer. Okay, you were a double dipper. You were doing a women's series.
Man, I did everything that weekend.
Let's go.
So, again, the start, it's a home game for me, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very well-done home game. Let's just start with that. Because the organization that I also work for, 3x3 Unites, who usually focuses on social projects with 3x3 basketball, they do this connection from the social projects to the World Tour, obviously. And they bring in all these what we call 3x3 leaders, so local youth that is a role model on the court, in their own neighborhood, obviously, and that plays 3x3 basketball, that tries to bring about a positive change to those neighborhoods. We give them an opportunity to be a volunteer at the World Tour, to be there for the whole weekend, to talk to teams, to chill, to whatever, to be a part of the organization, basically. Yeah. And 125 of them showed up.
Wow.
We could not host that tournament without them, and it is so cool to see. All of those leaders just, an active part of that organization, man. They are there at the airport when teams come in. They are at the hotel to give you your stuff, show you your room. They are at the venue building up this stuff. They are, they're literally doing everything. So I'm very
awesome. I'm
very proud to be a part of that part of, type of organization, because I'm usually just there for the World Tour. I talk about it and then I leave. Yeah. And in this case, I'm a bit of a part of organizing before. Not much. Again, look, I'm a small cog now at that organization, so I'm not doing much, but I'm still happy to be a part of it. So that's one thing. Now, the NDSM Wharf is in the north part of the city of Amsterdam. Yeah. It's an old wharf, obviously, so kind of like an urban setting, right? We're talking, old factories, old warehouses, all that stuff. Really cool. And it wasn't just the basketball being played; it was a part of the Urban Sports Week Amsterdam. Okay. And the Urban Sport Week Amsterdam was hosted in the year that Amsterdam turned 750 years old. So there was a lot of added stuff there. Yeah. It wasn't just a World Tour and a Women's Series, which the venue was incredible, insane. It was next level. It set the bar for, I'd say, all the tournaments this year, and I don't think anything is going to get to it. But it was the side acts, and I say that with all the respect I have for them, in the sense that there's all these urban sports placed in the same area, right? So there's parkour, there's break, there's skating, there's BMX.
What?
There's free running. I have no idea what other sports there were, and it was high level stuff too. It was not just let's do some skateboarding on the side. No, it was like a big event, like a tournament for skateboarding, and a tournament like I think it was like the World Championships in parkour running or something. I don't know. Look, it was nuts. It was insane. Add to it the kind of the grimy like factory setting that is so cool and that I actually love in urban sports. And look, man, it was my favorite tournament of the year from that perspective. And then having to host both tournaments, it was cool as well. I'll hit on the women's series. I'll ask you what you think about the men's side, though.
All right, cool.
So the women's series was really cool to me because it was the first ever women's series in the Netherlands.
It was the first.
Yes, first ever.
Yep.
And that the 3x3 Unites as an organization, as being the local organizer, they have strived to bring about like gender equality. So they did women's tournaments at the World Tour in the past, but it was usually in October, which is after the women's series season ends. So they couldn't host a women's series stop. Now they brought the tournament into May, which made it possible for them to host a women's series. And it was something, man. And especially because, well,
what happened?
It's always good when your home ladies win.
What?
Let's just say that. So the Dutch ladies tore through the field. And that was it. Like I can name you other teams that played. I think certain other teams did well enough. And look, I'm kidding. But the Dutch were dominant, man. Look, they swept the field. They played Canada in the finals, and they beat down on Canada, which is something you rarely see. Their margin of victory is at like 12 points per game after that tournament, or 11 something, which is insane. They were surgical with their movements, and what was cool to see for me is again, this is a crowd that's used to a world tour. They came in on that Saturday for the world tour in combination with the women's games. They stuck it out all the way to the end. I saw the Dutch ladies win, and it was lit. It was amazing. So, very happy with that. A slight note. The Netherlands now have a lady on the squad called Evelien Lutje-Schipholt.
Okay.
And we clearly need a nickname because that is a tongue breaker and a half.
Yes, Lutje Slipload.
Lutje-Schipholt. So yeah, definitely a nickname needed there.
Miss Slippery? I don't know.
Yeah. But look, the tournament on its own was really cool. What stood out to me besides the Netherlands was Canada being gigantic. And you kind of foreshadowed this. I hadn't seen Saisha Grant Allen play until the Champions Cup. But my goodness, for her to be able to move her feet the way she does at that height is incredible.
Yes.
She is a defensive force, man. My Lord.
She is a defensive surgeon when it comes to 3x3. The lateral movement, however, you would never guess that in that final game. Because you are definitely this is 3x3 word on the streets. We're going to say the real stuff. That was a ass whooping, okay? We're going to say that. I have watched Canada 4 years, and I never do favorites. I hit up everyone from Hungary to France to Canada, Puerto Rico, everyone. I support everybody. But I even hit up Canada and said, what happened? Like, I could understand because, shout out to your Lady Lions, the Orange Lions, they got talent. But 20-11, B? 20-11, that to me is unheard. That is equivalent of getting blown out by 30 in 5-on-5. You can't do that. We've seen in the NBA Finals. If you're Minnesota, you can't be getting blown out like that, bro. You got too much talent. Canada, you got too much talent. But everyone has their day. You can have an off day, but man, that wasn't even. They didn't even plug in the lamp. There was nothing there.
No, that was an old school backyard beatdown.
Yep.
But look, Canada was impressive the rest of the tournament. There was some foreshadowing. Some teams stuck with them until like the 5-minute mark, and that kind of foreshadowed maybe that finals. But again, just the sheer size of this team, Canada, the defensive prowess of Grant Allen, but not just her. I think the whole squad.
Yeah.
And the shot making abilities they have is they are a force, man. A third team that I want to give a shout out to, or maybe not a team, more so a player, Katerina Galichkova.
Yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce her name. My lord, I've been calling her the Katrin gun. I hope you'd like that.
Katrin gun, I like it. Not the Gatling gun, the Katrin gun. I'm with it. I'm with it. All
right, cool. See, you got that one. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, because come on, we gamers. Like, we know.
Yep.
Like, AR-15, whatever. No, a cat, I like that one. That's a grade A from me.
All right, so we're going with Katrin gun. That's it. Look, she lit up. She only played 3 games, right? They got eliminated in the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
But she lit up the scoreboards for 9 points per game and shot 64% from 2, which was insane.
Dang.
Every shot she threw up there went down somehow. It was all rainbows and well, I was going to say unicorns, but they did get eliminated in the quarterfinals. But anyway, shout out to Galichkova and Czechia, who actually, and we'll get to Marseille, but they did better in Marseille.
Okay. All right, cool.
All right. What'd you think about the men's tournament, though?
Men's tournament, I gotta admit, it was. Shout out to Toulouse. I really think they've been listening to the tournament. Joko is no joke. I mean, this dude was everywhere, all right? Talk about being a villain. I'm talking about Heath Ledger just watching the world burn for the win. This man proved himself on the court. I give it to France, rising up in the ranks, and then for a little bit, Frank Sakila. This dude is like Gumby, and shout out to doing the Monkey D. Luffy, even though Kyle has no idea what that means. I was ready. I was like, oh, I'm not live. I can't say nothing. Frank Sakila, he's not underrated because he's always been ranked number 1. But I will say, pay attention to his bag. When he goes to the rim, I've never seen people contort their body like that since the circus, okay? I think it's the Ringling Brothers. This dude is up, but it's not like an awkward twist that you're like, how does it do that? You go like, for some reason, that works. I mean, Rambo, Sue Hard, always great. And any people on the team can go off. So shout out to them. However, gotta give it to the new man, Dragon Ball Zegon. That name is killing it. I love this man. He's not, and I want to call him a Krillin, but he doesn't. Like, he's not Krillin, though. Krillin is like unlocked potential. This dude got the Destructo disc. But he's like a Jiren. He's like a Jiren in like the last tournament with Goku. Man, this dude is a problem. Crossover, first step, knocking down the shot, being a leader on the Lehman got a gold nugget. And when I don't know if it's Zijon. I think it was like Zijon you guys said.
No, somebody actually corrected that. Yeah, somebody sent us a message saying it was Zijon, so I started going with Zijon mustard, but that was horrible.
Nah.
And then I'm very happy somebody corrected it back to Zigon. Or Zigon or something. Look, someone help us. Help us with these pronunciations.
Help us, please.
Help us, please.
No, but I have to admit, his package, and it's not just offense. He got defense, too. This dude has a solid body. He knows he was blocking shots. And then when you have someone like the Manimal on your team hyping you up, it is like Goku and Vegeta. It is literally Go Trunks. There's going to be a fusion high. I was highly impressed by that. Other squads, Hangzhou, this dude, Djordjevic, I mean, this guy had a green light to shoot. Just couldn't knock it down, but...
that was on Vracha.
That was on Vracha.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vracha, yeah, Djordjevic. Yeah, I was doing Hangzhou versus Vracha. Sorry, when I was watching that game.
Oh, yeah.
Djordjevic had the green light. And Kola Djordjevic, 6 for 6, just not missing. I mean, this squad is amazing. I don't think people expected Vachar to be that good at all. I mean, what you think about that?
So I didn't mind Vrachar. They are the young fellas, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see I'm curious if we're going to see them back on the Masters level again. They played in these tournaments by virtue of a wild card.
Yeah.
I think they have the talent to compete.
Yeah.
I do think they're going to need to season a little bit more in the sense that you need to take your lumps in 3x3 to be able to win at this level, and I don't think they're there yet. Of course, Djordjevic is magical.
Yeah,
knocking out Rifa with a huge shot. I like Vracar, man. I think they got the ingredients to be good. I think they're a year or so away. So I'm curious to see if they can keep building with these young fellas.
Yeah.
Now, for me, there's a couple of notes here. I'd say, of course, it was a bit disappointing seeing Amsterdam take a bow in the quarterfinals to a red-hot Toulouse, by the way, who played incredible. What was cool to me from an organizer's perspective is the fact that the crowd stayed in the venue, cheered on Toulouse for the win, and that's a Dutch crowd. Toulouse knocked them out. So that was nuts. That was good to see because a few years back we hosted this and Amsterdam lost and everybody just disappeared.
Man, put a pin in. I gotta say this because you're in Amsterdam, all right? And I'm like, okay, this is dope. But it's a rematch of the ages. Toulouse gets another shot out of Amsterdam. And I'm going, oh, this is juicy. This game is going to get good. Suhard gets 9 rebounds, the smallest dude on the court. All right, you got everyone going off. I don't know what's happening, and I'm loving it. And also I saw a little kid with a baby 3x3 jersey, which I really wanted. All right, anyway, side note. They get knocked out, and not knocked out normally, 21-13, like a win. That is a win. That is revenge. But I wanted to also just even get the breakdown of when I looked at the championship game, people, it was standing room only. Standing room only. I know the Dutch are honest, but I didn't think they would be that supportive of the team that just beat them. That to me was awesome.
Yeah, me too. And then 2 more notes, I'd say. First of all, Hangzhou, you kind of touched on it. They played with 3.
Yeah.
As Milan Kovacevic was there. He kind of spot subbed in, but he's playing without an ACL, so he couldn't really go for more than 30 seconds each game.
Yep.
They still ended up in the semifinals with Kaluderovic actually really showing out, a top scorer in the tournament. So I did like Hangzhou. I think they're going to be better when they got 4 healthy players on the court. Nothing against Kovacevic. Look, big heart for you to step out there with that robot knee brace.
Yeah, dude.
And figure it out. But they need 4 healthy guys to be able to perform. And I got to shout out Vienna, man. Look, I mean, I know they lost to Toulouse in the semis, but Vienna, they played really well. Mainly Nico Kaltenbrunner, who looked way more aggressive. I was harsh on them when they started the year off badly in Japan. He couldn't drive to the basket whatsoever. I may or may not have written a part of my article on Japan on that. But he said he was sick. He was under the weather when he was out there, and he was feeling better, and it showed, man. He got people on his shoulder, and he wouldn't let up, and he kept going to the basket. But the main takeaway from that tournament is, and has to always be, the fact that Toulouse, and you mentioned this already, they get to a spot that they are very familiar with.
Yep.
A finals. Last year, I think they got to 8 finals, and they only won 1 of them. Then they get to the finals. They get, at the end of that finals game against Liman, they get a look, and it goes down.
Yep.
Right? And that look is taken off the board.
Yes. Oh, my. So now let's talk about this. Okay. I freeze-framed that shot.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it was Joko who shot the last shot, or was it Segala? Segala, right?
Segala was the one that took the last shot that did not count.
Yeah, Segala. Because Joko made it again. So Segala, it said .04 on my end when it wasn't touching his hand, which is a crazy shot. And if you're watching 3x3, you're watching on YouTube. And sometimes the clock in the venue could be a little different from the clock we see on the screen. When you were looking, did you freeze frame as well to see if it was that? Because I thought it was it.
I can't freeze frame, right? So we're on. Of course, we're courtside.
Yeah. We're
also on a monitor. That monitor just kind of shows us what's called the international feed, so the stuff that will go to YouTube. We can't freeze frame. I tried to get a look at the replays. I couldn't. So I couldn't really get a clear opinion on that.
Okay.
It felt like it was good at the time. And like when he shot it, I was like, all right, there we go. That's it. And then they called it off, and I was like, all right, this is what we've seen before.
Yes.
This team has gotten into this situation literally in last year's World Tour Finals where they hit a shot. They thought they won it. they were running into the crowd to celebrate.
Yeah.
Then they were called back. Instead of a 2, it was a 1. That game goes to overtime, and then Amsterdam ended with a worthy 2.
Yep.
This game, similarly, the shot gets called off. It gets to overtime. And look, this could have been one of those, like another one of those sliding door moments where well, again, former Paris, Toulouse, go to the finals, and they get knocked out yet again. And I remember clearly after last year's World Tour Finals, I remember Paul Joko just defeated, walking back to the hotel, almost tears in his eyes. And I asked him, look, bro, you got so close. He's like, close is not good enough.
Yeah.
Close is not good enough. And this shit had happens to us all year long.
Mm-hmm.
And he was dejected, man. He was done. And look, they built themselves up for him to come out in that overtime. After, by the way, Marko Stevanovic gets a wide open look and just bricks the shit out of it.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Stretch.
And for then Paul Joko to come up after a massive offensive performance in that tournament, by the way, something he is not known for, to come out and hit that shot was huge. And that could be kind of like that coming of age moment for a squad that's right on the brink. And again, I'd say right on the brink, but last year, acting as Team Paris, they got the 8 damn finals.
Yep.
But look, great moment to be a part of.
Hey, and also, if you guys didn't watch the stats, dude was 0 of 4 before that shot. 1 of 5. Shooters, shoot. It don't matter about the shot you shot now. It's about your next shot. Dude was confident. And I got to give it, Stretch was on the floor. I think he was crying. I really think he had some tears in his eyes because Stretch was that was wide open. And you got to knock that down. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
He had a look, and that's the type of look you don't always get.
Yeah.
But shout out to Toulouse and shout out to the whole tournament in Amsterdam, man. Because again, I was literally and figuratively slightly hungover after that tournament.
I want to say just to close it out, because the venue was electric. You didn't get the men, but you got the winning. Come on, man. How was that after party? Like, how was that after party? Oh, we played in the 5th?
I should be.
Okay.
No, but really though. So this is the type of stuff where everything comes together, right? So everybody's in a hotel, and 3x3 Unites was kind enough through Jesper Jobse to take care of the bill at an after party that's hosted in the sky deck at that hotel.
Oh, what?
And it didn't get crazy in the sense of people being belligerent or whatever. But it was really cool to see all the worlds mix, right? The women's teams were mostly gone, but some of them remained. Chile, for instance, was out there because they were in Europe. They were preparing for the World Cup qualifier the week after. So they showed up to the party. The local organizers, so 3x3 Unites, their whole staff shows up to the party. The 3x3 leaders I mentioned before, so the youth shows up to this party. And again, we're saying youth, some of them are over 18, and this is legal drinking age here, so they get to have a beer with the players. Players show up to this party.
What?
Me and Kyle show up to this party. So everybody is here, right? And that is just one of those wholesome moments where you see a young kid that you educated out on some street somewhere in the Netherlands. Walk up to one of his favorite players and just go up to him and ask for a picture. That type of stuff's cool to me. It was awesome. So I'm not gonna lie, I did have a few drinks. Just a few. Actually, I actually had a good conversation with one of my colleagues. And actually hit the sack quite early because I had to go home and see the family next day, so I didn't want to be all kinds of messed up. I think certain people have to take the party out into the city, which is what they get to do, which is fine. And look, man, no, the after party was cool. It was really fun, and a really fun way, I'd say, to end that tournament and to give everybody kind of that sense of community and togetherness that I think is so big in 3x3 and that sometimes nowadays we're kind of missing.
Yeah. Definitely. And it's funny. We had a great interview with Norche Dreesen, and I asked her, like, hey, do you party? She was like, no, I just focus on basketball and 3x3. I'm like, well, from what I heard, you had a good time. So congratulations. But that's dope. And congratulations to the Orange Lions. Congratulations to Toulouse. They definitely got up in the ranks. Frank Sekela was number 1 in the world for just a second, but then we went back to his backyard in Marseille, and things change. Now, talked about the Orange Lions. They roared. But Marseille, baby, escargot, parlez-vous. It was beautiful. I have to love it. You love it. But I have to admit, that tournament, I saw some talent I did not expect. I want to shout out some new players on Miami. Kelly, he looked like a brawler. Chao Ming, we were calling him Baby Shaq, Mr. Forte. I think I'm going to call him Atlas because he put that team on his back with a smile. Oh, yes, he did. But, I mean, we saw Koic come out of nowhere. We finally find out like if he could still score a little bit, but it's just he just needs some help. He needs some help, in my opinion.
He needs some milk too.
Yeah, needs some milk too. But Oob comes out on top. We're gonna break it down right now. I mean, shout out to Kyle commentating and everything. What'd you take out of this tournament?
All right, let me start with the women's series again because I did host that from the house, right?
Yes, you did.
Look, I think in general, the level of play in Marseille was, I don't want to say rough. It was different, and I'll tell you why it was different. So first of all, it was outdoors, and there was a lot of wind.
Yeah. Yes.
So shooting was difficult, right? So start with that. Then, and this is highly technical, or at least somewhat detailed. So I think they put the Enlio court down on some wood on a wooden underfloor.
Yeah.
With no protection, so you could hear the ball bounce loudly on the stream, right? But I remember playing in that type of setting, and what it does, it kind of dampens the impact of the ball.
Okay.
Slightly, just a little bit. Which means your dribbles become less automatic. And it's more of you have to really throw the rock down, and you can't handle it quite as much left to right, front to back, and especially being 7 foot tall and not having handles. But also players feel the difference. It's a different. You have to be more conscious with your dribbles.
Yeah.
So that altered level of play, both on the men's and the women's side, I'd say. But especially on the women's side, I mean, there's only one team to get to 21 points on the finals day.
España.
And that team won. That was España. And shout out to them, first of all, just to start with the good stuff from that tournament. Spain, they came in. It was their first tournament of 2025. Everybody, and including myself, expected Sandra Iguodavita to be retired. She did not retire.
Dude. Okay, please stick a pin in this. I saw her on the roster, and she's doing a Steve Sir. You keep teasing us. Are you done or are you done? Like, I love seeing y'all play. Shout out to Steve Sir from Canada. Yo, you're a G, you're OG. Thank you so much. Keep playing. But Sandra, we had a farewell party for you, and then you come back. But then she hooped. So I mean,
then she hooped.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll say this: offensively, maybe on the shooting department, not her greatest tournament. She did lead the field with 17 key assists, and that's like 9 more than the next player.
Yeah.
Or at least no one else got over 10, which was really good. But Spain actually started the tournament out rough. They played against a Team USA. Did they play against Team USA?
Whoa. No.
No, they lost to Orléans. That was it. I apologize.
No. They played against Orléans and then Australia, which was a close game.
Exactly. So they had a tough day one loss, right? They started out a little shaky, a little rusty, whatever. Found their flow at the start of day 2 in a game against the United States of America, who, by the way, brought a ton of young talent, which was good to see.
Yeah.
But they got it going on offense. Imagine this. They get to the finals, right? And this is a day of low-scoring games.
Yeah.
No one has hit 21 besides Spain at all.
Crazy.
And they blow Czechia out 21-11 with 3:55 left in the game. So 3:55 left on the game clock. They ended that game in 6 minutes. That was insane.
Is that a record?
It's not. And there's teams that have gotten this done faster, but it's close.
Yeah.
And look, man, they improved their shooting again in a tough environment, right? So they shot only sub 18% on Tuesday 1. They improved it to 30% on day 2, which is incredible. Vega Jimeno picked up MVP and was just everything. Instead of just settling for shots like she was day 1, she started playing mismatches. She started playing underneath the basket and then got into her shooting rhythm. And it was incredible to see. So shout out to Spain for stepping on with that same roster, by the way, that won the Europe Cup, came in second in the Olympics. Now they start their 2025 campaign really strong with a W in their first women's series stop.
Yeah.
Some other shout-outs. We talked to Czechia for Amsterdam. Czechia got to the finals.
Yep.
They did not get a good performance out of Galichkova this time.
No, I did not.
Only 5 points per game. A pedestrian 29% from 2.
Yeah.
But they got it done with defense, man. They only gave up 11 points per game before playing Spain, obviously. And they were tough. They were top 5 in rebounds. They kind of shut it down. They sort of had that second option that I was hoping for, but it was mainly their defensive grit. And then lastly, look, the main French squad actually, they bit the dust on day one and went out in pool play. If you want to read more on that, please go to Substack. wordonthestreets.substack.com. I wrote my article there.
Yes, you did.
But they did have a surprising second team, Orléans. I like them a lot. They again, the only French team to make the knockout rounds.
Yep.
They got a new team. Mané, who was on the main French squad last year, Ewodo and Maquet, who come from the under-24 team a couple years ago, and Stervinu, who was in China in 2023.
Wow.
A kind of a random team, but they were fluent in a pick and roll. They had the shot making and shot creating abilities that I was hoping for. And they got 16 Maquet, who is huge and is a defensive force. So a surprise standout from France still, even though their main squad didn't do well. So the women's series was cool.
Yeah.
And I'll throw it back to you. I mean, the men's tournament, there was, of course, the OOB win that they, I think, badly needed. What'd you think?
Badly needed is an understatement. However, there is a multiverse that Dr. Strain lives in. And sometimes I think he takes a break like God does in Bruce Almighty. How's Morgan Freeman literally says, doesn't God get a vacation? And, Jim Carrey's like, really? So you ever heard of the Dark Ages? And that's what Dr. Strange sometimes. He puts them in the Dark Ages. But when he awakens, my Lord, they were down, 6 points coming into
Tolima.
To Tolima.
14-8.
14-8. And Dr. Strange said, no, nay, not today. Just went on a tear. Bam, 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 bam. Come out with the W. So I also have to retract my statement when I was in Amsterdam. I'm a man. I'm an honest man, everybody. Maestro, you're not looking as vital as I thought you would, okay? Mr. Dejan Majstorovic, I'm putting you to be MVP this year.
Oh, snap. There we go.
What?
This is why we need you, Vince. This is the wild predictions MVP for Majstorovic. I like this. Go ahead. Keep going, please.
We started off, he was leading the practice with OOB. He's commanding the troops. He was making plays. Okay, but this was behind the scenes, and now the big lights are on. Dude, what are you doing, my man? I just want to break it down a little bit. I'm watching you play, and I'm like, yo, dude. I know you could play better than this. I know. You're missing shots I could see you make with your eyes closed. And let's just go here. Dude was 5 for 13, which is still 40%. 5 for 8, that he's 1%. However, in the final game, he's airballing shots I've never seen. During the tournament, he's playing decent. But when the moment was coming up, he was not the Dejan Majstorovic that I thought would step up to the moment. Okay? He's still a great player. I will never knock it. But I was also amazed by him on the positive side. Again, was getting a little disappointed. But on the positive side, did you see him dive for a basketball? I was like, dude, watch your knees, bro. I don't know if you gonna get up again. But OOB altogether is a force to be reckoned with. I was also impressed by the addition to Miami. I do think Kelly has a chance to be decent in this game if you control his emotions. I'm going to save what I really want to talk about so we can get the nitty gritty. However, Chongming, and we were talking about this in the behind the scenes. Mr. Forte, Kyle dubbed him Baby Shaq. No,
yeah, please.
This man is Atlas. He put that team on.
Yeah, let's do Atlas here because he got more touch than Baby Shaq.
Yeah. More touch than Baby Shaq for sure. Veracity of a Titan for sure. Like if he was going through the grit, he will fight Hercules. He will fight Zeus. He'll go against Poseidon. This man is a force to be reckoned with. You said it perfectly. You're a big man. Explain to the people, where did he go every 5 seconds?
Look, every single player, I think the entire crowd, and maybe even people back at the FIBA office, know Cameron Forte wants to go to his left hand in the post, turn over his right shoulder, and hit that lefty push hook.
Yeah.
And it goes off every single, and I'll swear here, fucking time. Dear Lord. This man, there's no stopping. Look, he's a bully, but he's a shifty bully.
Yeah,
he's crafty with his moves. He knows when to create contact, and he knows when to step away from that contact to get separation for that hook shot. Mind you, he is not the tallest player.
No.
He's probably 6'6", 6'7" at
Ain't
most.
that big? Yeah.
He's not that tall.
But he's solid. He's solid, though.
He's very solid. Look, his stats in that tournament jumped off the page, bro. Like, it wasn't just the scoring either. He didn't shoot a single two. He was ridiculous in player value. He hit 72% of his shots. And again, this is with everybody knowing where he wants to go and what he wants to do. He barely got to the free throw line, which usually is where he makes a living.
Yep.
He hit on key assists. He was one of the leaders in key assists in the tournament, top 5 for sure. And he's at 7.5 rebounds per game. He's got soft touch. He's got the moves. And Cameron Forte. And again, I think earlier in the year I might have said his squad might be better off without him. Let me eat those words right now. They are not. They are not better without him. He is a force of nature. He is so skilled, man. And look, it looks like he's just straight bullying, which he is.
Yep.
But to have that type of touch combined with that type of physicality is extremely difficult. And as a former big man in the game, playing that physical gets you really tired.
Yes, I saw
really
him
tired.
Yeah, he was holding his knees.
Like gassed tired.
Yep.
And he somehow, some way, just keeps going.
He has a motor.
And that's commendable.
He has a motor, and you give him more credit. 28 for 39. 28 for 39.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
39. Like, I'm looking at other stats. Literally, the only person that's below him is Str33ts with 33 shots, and this man was the MVP. That's incredible. However, I want to shift what you're saying, because don't forget, the Mays wasn't there. Norris Miezis wasn't there. Carlos Los Manos was there. Dion Lang wasn't there as well, right? He's on that squad as well, if I'm not mistaken. The thing about that is, if you just have those two out of the 4 on the squad, but I think Dion would be a good addition. When you have Norris Miezis, Cameron Forte, and also Carlos Manos on the same team, I think that gets jumbled. If you could get 2, Miezis and Forte and Carlos Los Manos, or Carlos Manos and Miezis, that's when this squad really shows out. And then you have your players that are coming in from China that are helping. But, I mean, they have a chance to go farther. I do want to do research because I know you're the man with the news. Is Carlos Los Manos in the Lenortner conversation? Because it's looking like that.
I have no definite news on this, but the word on the streets, yes.
Yeah.
Quick plug. Word on the streets is that he felt something pop in his Achilles.
Man.
And we'll see, man. I have no idea. I'm really hoping it's not that, because we need him on the tour. It's so much. Look, his focus, and he even alluded to this last year in Manama when they won. His focus, last few years has been on the Super 3 League in China. He hasn't focused on FIBA 3x3 and the pro circuit for a couple of years, but they have that focus this year with him, with Forte, with Miezis, and with a good supporting cast. Don't get it twisted now. Their team is very solid.
Yeah.
So I'd hate for him to step out of that dynamic and be hurt for a season. I hope he's not. If anything, get well soon, Carlos. I'm out here praying that it's nothing bad.
I'm praying. Which again, can we give more credit to Matty Ice? Can we give this to Matthias Lenortner? He's not, as in my opinion, frail as some of us may predicted coming to 3x3. He's still doing some work. And coming after that injury, it looks like he's ready to ball. He's definitely like knocking off some rust. But he came up back from this injury beautifully, Bas.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and you saying it looks like he needed to, or he had to knock off some rust.
Yeah.
I don't know if it looked like that, to be honest with you. In Amsterdam, he's back to his usual statistics, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, usually we'll see him hit 40% of his twos. I think in Amsterdam, he was at 40% from 2. Let me check here. Lenortner. Yeah, 4 for 10 from 2.
Yep.
Averaged right around 5 points per game. He was usually at 5.5 to 6. So I don't think he missed a step.
Man.
And that's incredible because it didn't take him more than a year. And this is the type of injury that, A, takes a year to recover from, B, takes another year to mentally recover from and get physically get back to the state you were. And he's right back to it.
We always talk about Vienna. I think they're definitely a team to be reckoned with. But again, we're going to play for clauseless minus. Shout out to Lenore coming back. I do want your opinion before I get to the juicy fight. Tilburg, do you think he's a good addition to Amsterdam? He's a big fella, knocking down some twos, but is a defensive wizard in a way. How do you feel about him representing the Orange Lions?
I am slightly biased, so you're not going to get a clear opinion out of me.
Really?
I pushed Van Tilburg for years to pick up 3x3 gloves.
Wow.
I really wanted him on my youth national teams when I was a national team coach. He never made the step, but I kept pushing, and somehow, and I'm not saying to my credit, but somehow he found his way into the program. And practiced good enough over the winter to be shifted from Utrecht to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
You clearly see he was nervous in the first few games Amsterdam played. Of course, this was his first big shot at a pro circuit tournament with a team that is expected to win. Right?
Yeah.
Nothing against Utrecht, but they are underdogs in certain games.
Yeah.
Amsterdam is never an underdog. So that requires a fully different mindset. But shout out to Daan van Tilburg, man. He played a good tournament. He looked comfortable, and he looked like he belonged. And I think that's what they needed from him in his first tournament. I think he can even expand on his offensive role. I don't think we've seen quite what he can do yet.
Yeah.
The man might not have much lift, but he's got some pop to his game. He can shoot. He's got a little fadeaway to him. He's got a little turn. He twists, and the man's a crafty scorer. So I think he's going to be a good complement to the squad. And I think to kind of go deeper into why he's needed as well. He functions as a big.
Yeah.
And with the substitution pattern Amsterdam had, it would have been everybody subbing out except for Jan Driessen.
Yeah, that's true.
What if he turns an ankle? Right now you have insurance.
Yep. And
so I think all in all a worthy sub and a good start to Daan van Tilburg being a part of this Amsterdam team.
And shout out to Jan Driessen. Kyle gave him the dub of the best interior defender in 3x3, asking, can you name another? I mean, he's still impressing me. He's still getting better. I just want to see more. I'm seeing more and more dog coming out of Jan. More and more grit, more and more I'm not caring. And I want to use that as the transition to Miami. What happened between Andrew Kelly and Hugo Suhard after that game? I thought they were going to go to blows, bro.
Me too, man. Look, I think I might have a guess at this.
Okay.
Just saying. Let's for the people that didn't see this game, it was an electric game, quarterfinals, right? Yeah. It's Toulouse kind of fighting from behind down the stretch there, coming back, and with 7 seconds to go, Hugo Suhard hits a 2 to get them to a 20-19 advantage. Yes. This is a team that is playing at home. Toulouse is from France. Marseille is in France, so they want to win in front of their home crowd. Of course, they've got people there. There's a lot of pressure playing at home for sure. So Suhard hits a huge bucket off of a Frank Segela screen, and it looks like the game might be over, but Miami has one more possession.
Yeah.
It's Dylan Travis clearing the ball, driving. Toulouse goes and helps on his drive, and he kicks it out to a wide-open Andrew Kelly, who gets Miami to win with an electric shot right as the buzzer goes off.
Laces.
He hits a 2 for game. That's 21-20. And then, to add insult to injury, he starts screaming, and he's all excited, and he's screaming at everybody, man. He's screaming at the referees. He's screaming at the table officials. He's screaming at the Toulouse players. He's screaming at the Wilson ball. It doesn't matter. He's screaming at someone. And look, I think Suhard took exception. I think he should, because that may have been a little bit too excessive. I do think that type of animosity is much needed in 3x3. We don't see enough of it, so I'm very happy to see it. You show some anger sometimes. That's fine. Emotions are a good thing. But yeah, man, look, I think Suhard was just really pissed about losing at home. It hurts. And then to have a guy scream at you from like 2 feet away about the same thing, like to not take that with dignity, but to just kind of take it with all the emotion you can take it with. Yeah, it's a lot, man. It's tough to handle.
It's tough to handle, but it's that's why I also give it to Hugo. Like Hugo ain't scared of nobody. This dude is literally I ain't calling him little pup, but he's like a Rottweiler, just didn't grow all the way, but he still got the teeth, and he's just is approaching him like, and was not scared because I thought Suhard approached Kelly when I watched it and said something to him first because I thought Kelly, like you said, was just Uzi spraying everybody, just yeah. But then Suhard went, yo, don't say this in my house, bro. And he's like, yo, who you talking to? Like, that's what I thought. But again, we all got different opinions. I agree. We need that passion in 3x3 at all times because at the end of the day, it's still street ball. Like, street ball gets in it. You watch these one-on-ones on YouTube between former NBA players and street ballers and Instagram influencers, and it gets heated. And especially with the Miami team, I mean, come on, you're Miami Vice. You got to have that knit grit. I mean, just real quick, it was a Caruso. He was showing toughness. Dylan showing toughness. I mean, and even getting a crazy dunked on by Mr. Rambo, which we got to call him Mullet Proof from now on Kelly.
Yeah, I like that nickname.
Yeah, Mullet Proof. Kelly still pat. He's like, oh, word? You gonna jam on me? Bet. I'm going to take game. And then shows passion. It was good, but I just never seen it after everyone like everyone left. Like it was gone.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to I was like, yo, is this a Jerry Springer show? Because this is about to go crazy.
Yeah, it was a wild moment.
Yeah.
But again, look, I don't mind emotions being shown. I was a highly emotional player myself, sometimes to the detriment of my squad, but sometimes it's nice to let it out.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Man,
I want to touch on one more thing for Marseille, though.
Let's do it.
Oob winning is huge, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oob had struggled mightily up until this point in the season. They again came into the Utsunomiya opener, and I say struggled. They came in third, but this is a tournament you expect them to be in the finals.
Yeah.
This is a year removed from them losing that finals to Miami. Of course, Majstorovic had won in Utsunomiya 7 times or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you expect them to get to the finals. They get to the semifinals. They get ousted, and they come in third. Then they go to Chengdu and they pick up an 8th place. Man, they lose 2 games. That was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So the alarm bells start going off. They get Amsterdam off. They don't qualify there. Then they go to Marseille, and they get a W.
Yep.
Now it was a very, very hard fought win. Let's be frank.
Yeah.
They needed an out of body experience for Doctor Strange, because this was just ridiculous. The man went bananas, and not a little bit. We've seen him average right around 7.5 points per game, 8 points per game. We have seen him climb to 9 or 9.5 in the past, which, again, that is the peak level he used to be able to get to. I'm not sure if he can do that every tournament.
Yeah.
He went 10.6 points per game, 52% from range. He had a 77 player value. And for the people that don't know what player value is, it's kind of like an accumulative stat from all of the things that we keep track of in 3x3. A 77 in player value. He had a 30-point lead in the player value category on the second player, which is Cameron Forte. And please, I have never seen that. Mm-hmm. That is insane. Now, I think a win like this for Oob is going to take some of the pressure off.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can get back to their old winning ways with this win.
Yeah.
B, it does show me a little bit of their vulnerability, because if they need this from Doctor Strange every single time, I don't think they're going to win much. This was an out of this world type of performance.
Mm-hmm.
He went nuclear, and absolutely, just anything went down. He hit all the shots. You mentioned that Lehman game. They were down 14-8, and he brought them all the way back. I think they need more. If this is what they need from him every tournament to be good, I fear for them. But
it's scary.
I also think a win like this can and does go a long way mentally.
And it does propel them. And I just want to give real quick, I don't know if I did this shout out before, but yeah, against that Lehman squad, that was a test of how seasoned Oob is. but also a good test on how good Lehman is. Again, I'm gonna keep talking about one and only, Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z
Mm.
definitely is. He's not Krillin. I'll say it again. This man is Jiren. This guy doesn't have destructive disc. He powers up. But yeah, I think this is propels Oob in the mindset of like, let's get back where we are. But we always talk about how when you're on the top, everyone wants to tear you down. You know, you're on the Mount Rushmore of one of the top teams in 3x3. You're basically engraved in stone that you gotta win. So when you lose, you think the world is over. However, Str33ts is still pretty young. I think he's still got some good knees on him. All right, I think he can go off. He could still
Mm-hmm.
work out. Barkilo is still there. Okay, they have a great squad in every single one of their players when it comes. Naranjit's still great. Mastrovic, he is the brain now. He can definitely control these guys on this team. But now, what they're gonna do in Vienna? That's gonna be the key thing. Can they do it? Because Vienna is going to be a insane test for them. Because if they are dominant in Vienna, then the Oob we know is back. And let's see if we know already. All right, we still don't know the pools yet. I want to know the pools because you're going to go against, a pissed off Amsterdam again. And again, they've been going. You still got Toulouse that's been going almost every final possible. Miami's getting better and better. Now, I don't know let me see the roster for Miami. Have they choose that? They have it because Trigger Trey was going off. And I thought that was going to be a problem with them when they were playing back in Amsterdam. But however, he could still shoot and he was playing some great defense. Then you got the squads from Vienna. You never know who they're going to do. Ronde Vars has been hibernating. They are fully rested. So let's see how they're going to be battling, getting back to that top. Rifa, you said his name, Partisan, London. These are all squads that can make it, and they're all looking at one team, and that's Oob. Can they keep this momentum going?
Yeah, we'll see. Before we get any more into Vienna, though, I want to get your thoughts.
Okay.
So first off, I'd like to know, out of these last two stops, right?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite team? What was the team that really stood out to you? And it doesn't have to be a team that played in both stops. Just I kind of want to get your thoughts on what was your favorite squad to come out of these two tournaments.
I got it. My favorite squad is Lehman right now. I think that squad.
I'm
not gonna lie. My guy. Lehman right now is looking freaking hungry.
Yeah.
Okay, Milutinovic, Stefanovic, Vasic, and Dragon Ball Z. I am now hyper focused on what Lehman can do because any one of these players can have them. Again, we always say about 3 players, 3 teams. No, you get Mahalo Vasic in the manimal mode going insane. You keep Stretch getting those rebounds and being defensive. You get Milutinovic just if he can shoot a little better and just start draining shots from all around the court, he's good. But then if you could literally do a LeBron and let Dragon Ball Z go, get out the way. Highly impressed by that team. That team, I'm hyped to see what it is, to see how it's going to propel. And then I'm with Miami too. I'm going to shout out Miami because I just saw two different combinations of their squads. And it's just now finding the right pieces for them to be consistently good and get to that spot, be a repeat of Utsunomiya, because I think they do have a nice squad. So those are my two squads that I'm impressed with. What about you?
All right, so I got one, and it's not one that you're going to think of quickly here, but I want to give this team a shout-out because I think they deserve it. Look, I could have gone with Chongming because I think they're doing well. Hangzhou is a squad that I've liked all year. But I want to give a shout-out to Carolina. Carolina came into Amsterdam, and they played in an all-Dutch pool in front of a Dutch crowd. They played Utrecht and Amsterdam. They had Amsterdam on the ropes.
Yes,
they had
did.
Amsterdam done.
Mm-hmm.
They had them cooked. They should have won that game. Let's be frank here.
Yes.
Amsterdam came back and somehow, someway drugged that one out, but that was Carolina's game to win. Then they come in and take care of Utrecht, and in a kind of turnaround of scenarios, they They get behind in that game. They fight themselves back. They get a last-second look. Who else but Antonio Lado to knock that one down to send Utrecht home. And, man, look, I was highly impressed with the additions to their squad, right?
Yeah.
They did lose in the quarterfinals to Liman, who actually outclassed them because they couldn't get a shot to go from range at all. They were 2 for 11 in that game between Antonio Ralat and Brian Gonzalez. But I like Gonzalez. They needed a second gunner on the team, and they got one. And he was missing in this one. Trust me, he will miss some shots. But Gonzalez, I think, is an upgrade over what they did with Ocasio and Allende, who both sometimes would just disappear.
Yeah.
At least Gonzalez will take the shots. Then they got a new dude, Nathaniel Butler. Butler Lind is, I think, his name.
Yeah.
And this guy's a dog, man.
He is a
on
dog.
Defense, he will hound you. He will screen. He will roll. He's getting his feet wet in this game at 3x3, right? So still some adjustment there for him. But I think they got the ingredients to be a good team. They already have one of the most explosive offensive players in Antonio Ralat. If they can get consistent shooting out of Gonzalez, and if they can get the defense they've been getting out of Quascoot and Butler, I think they're a squad to kind of keep your eye on, man. I like them, so we'll see. But that was my liked team out of both these tournaments. Now, just to kind of close off the Marseille and the Amsterdam section here. Any teams you weren't feeling?
I will have to admit, and I'm sorry to say it. I'm not sorry to say it. Lausanne. I'm just not feeling them, man. I'm just not I don't know what it is. Dudes, guys, my Swiss. I know you have the talent. I know it's there. Dubas, Martinez. I was actually, I see Zebo. I'm like this. All right, bet. Z, this is going to be a great addition. Nien. I was so hopeful. I even sent you the post when he got on the Lausanne team. I was like, yo, this is great. But what? It's just that I would say they're like the Knicks, but the Knicks are doing good right now, so I can't say they're like the Knicks.
Are they though? Are they really?
Hey, we're Game 6 today. Hey, I'm sorry to date it, but hey, man,
I'm messing with you.
Don't do that. But Dubas, I don't know. He's like a roadblock guy, just going side to side. I don't know if he has like much mobility. Martinez can get back. I believe in Lausanne every time I see him, but they just always disappoint me, to be honest. And that's the team I wish something got to click. I don't know what they're missing, though.
I don't know either. I think it's chemistry for now. They have not been able to put the pieces together. I actually thought about putting them in this team I wasn't feeling category. As look, man, they're still 10th in the rankings, but they're giving up over 20 points per game, and they're only scoring about 16 of them.
Yeah.
And this is on a squad with multiple offensive talents, and you're saying Dubas is walking like a roadblock.
Yeah.
I've seen this guy play last year in Challengers where he averaged 7.5 and 7.5.
And where's he
was shooting twos at like a 35% clip. Like that's the type of stuff that he's capable of. But so far, a lot of frustration. They don't have a lot of shooting. I don't know if they have a lot of playmaking without Gilles on the court either. And I'm not seeing it for Lausanne. I agree with you. So I don't like them. So for me, a team I didn't like, and I'll throw it back to Amsterdam as well, as I don't think they were a part of the Marseille festivities, is Rifa.
Rifa,
I think
man, yeah.
Rifa is in a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
I'll be frank with you. If they can't get their act straight, they're gonna start dropping. They're already out of the top 10 in the World Tour rankings. They're gonna have to fight themselves all the way back. But it's not looked good for Rifa this year.
Yeah.
In the adjustment without Thibaut Vervoort, they're missing kind of that secondary offensive option. Sometimes it's Jonas Voorts hitting. Sometimes it's Dennis Donker hitting. But if I gave you a guess right now, who is the leading scorer on Rifa for the season, and that's in 2 events played, who would you think?
On Rifa, it's got to be Donker.
It's Casper Augustijn at 5.4 points per game. Donker's only at 4.4 points.
Okay.
He's shooting 14% from 2. Voorts is shooting 15% from 2.
Okay.
It's Augustijn who is actually carrying the torch right now. So the 2 main creative options are at 4.4 and 4 points per game. That is worrisome. That's very worrisome for a squad that's not, I'm saying, like, all due respect to Dennis Donker, He's not getting any younger. And the man right now is 33, so again, still youthful. But he look, for this squad to be good, I think he should be around 7.5, 8 points per, which I know he can do. We've seen that in the past, right? Dennis the Menace can go off, but he's lost confidence in his shot. He looks shaky going and attacking the rim. He's missed a couple of easy ones, and the squad is playing without a sense of urgency. So you'll see them again in a must-win game out in Amsterdam against a young Serbian squad in Vracar.
Yeah.
Somewhat leave the door open for them for no reason whatsoever. Kind of taking their foot off the gas a little bit, and then they get knocked out. And that is worrisome, man. And now they add a new guy. We'll see if that brings any change.
We'll see.
But I don't know. It was, to me, it was time to pull the panic button a little bit here. So Rifa for me is the team I didn't feel much.
All right, well, but both squads, I mean, look, we all know 3x3 is a game of numbers, and it comes in. You got to get the reps in. However, when you get in a rut, it's hard to come out. But we see Oob get out the rut. We're seeing Toulouse climbing up the ladder. We still have to, see a whole bunch of other squads. But we got a whole new Masters coming up. We're going to start breaking down Vienna even more because we have agreed. We've been talking about it throughout this podcast. This is one of the most powerhouse tournaments we're going to watch until date. So we'll be right back. Now, Vienna is the next stop. All right, the countdown has already started. 16 teams are going to be playing. A lot of them we already know. Tel Aviv is a new one. Baskets is back. I think Fabian Giesen is going to be on there. However, only 11 squads have the roster up. Okay, so 5 still haven't done. I have a couple predictions, but it literally matters on who plays. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to let you go off, Bas. I mean, who you liking, who you think may take it, just from what we know right now?
Let's start off by saying this tournament, if you compare it to the Utsunomiya opener, which featured the top 10 teams coming into the season, out of those top 10 teams, the only team that is not there is Lima.
Oh, man.
So we got this is the top 10 to start the year, right? So we're not talking right now. We're talking start of the season, your top 10 teams. Out of those top 10, 9 of them are there. Then, even further, Lausanne is added, who was just outside that top 10 to start the season. And then the young Dog Pound squad in Hangzhou, who's turning some heads. So and Utrecht as well with the Skyliners and Bonn Baskets, and a feisty Barcelona and Tel Aviv possibly as well. So, man, look, this tournament is stacked. Let's just say that. I will be tuned in all weekend. I think it's a combo stop again with the women's series as well. So I don't think my TV is gonna be off.
Okay.
And yeah, my wife might not be happy with me. We'll talk about that after the weekend. No, man. Look, what I'm looking at is which team either can rise from the field to pick up their first win of the year. I think this might be the tournament where we'll see a first team repeating a win, though.
Yeah.
Right. So Oob comes in as your number 1 seed. I think if they tanked confidence like I think they did last weekend, I think they might come in and pick it up again. I think Toulouse got some good papers in this one as well. Miami, of course, always dangerous, but with all the top teams being here, you never know. Is this the first one Amsterdam is going to pick up? Is Hangzhou going to come through and possibly come out of the qualifying draw, which I think they might start in?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's such a stacked field. It's tough to make predictions. I'm just looking forward to a great weekend, as Vienna is known to host quite the 3x3 parties. I don't know, you remember the World Cup a few years back. That was delicious. And I think this one is going to be just as delectable, man.
Ooh, so it sounds good to me. I want to play, but I won't be there. I'll be in my home. I mean,
yeah, me too.
I'm going to be. I mean, Toulouse right now it's a good bet because of how many finals they go to. They may just go to the finals. I'm saying they're going to win, but I think the key team to watch is the Lithuanians. Ron Navarre's Hoptran. I am excited with all the rest they have. I mean, they have been playing, of course, practice and a couple of challenges, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see how they're going to compete with these now almost fine-tuned squads that have a couple of masters underneath their belt. I don't know what the Miami squad is going to look like. I was going to look for them. London, we're always, back and forth. Let's see if they can go. But I honestly think it may be a shot for Ronda Varas to take. I'm gonna call it right now. I'm just doing that. I think Ronda Varas is gonna turn some heads this tournament. I don't know why. I just have this gut feeling they're gonna play. The Lithuanian is always amazing, and there's a thing that I watch when you don't see teams play in tournaments, but they just do a lot of film. And all these squads, they have a lot of film on them. So let's see if they actually use it because they are a smart team. But yeah. I mean, I'm looking at Ronda Varas for this, but I just got one more time. Shot Vienna. Mr. Sonell is back on the squad, so let's see if he's going to do anything for the Austrians. But yeah, this is going to be a tournament to watch.
Yeah, and you already know the way Vienna plays when they play at home. I mean, you remember the Europe Cup last year when they won in front of their home crowd. Look, so they're one to watch, but I think every team here
has a shot,
has an opportunity. Notwithstanding the Barcelonas and the Tel Avivs of this world, who again I think could be very good, but you never know.
Yeah,
these are kind of the outsiders that still have to make it into pool play first. But I mean, wow, there's 12 teams that I could see win this tournament.
Exactly, and that's so right. There are 12 teams that can win this. I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a wild one. Look, and the action already starts off on a Friday, right?
Yeah.
So we got a qualifying draws, both of them on Friday. The main draw is on Saturday. I do believe those games start right around 12:30 local time.
Yeah.
So make sure you tune in to FIBA 3x3's YouTube for those games. You will be hearing our esteemed colleague, Kyle Montgomery, who is missing from this podcast, obviously.
Yeah.
But you'll be hearing him. I'm not doing any of the tournaments. I'm not even doing the women's series, so I'll be just watching from home, which I'm very happy about because I'm resting this voice for the World Cup. You can already hear it's still kind of recovering, huh?
World Cup, I mean, it's too much to, put some predictions on. There's a lot to talk about. I mean, we've been talking for a minute. Me and you could talk 3x3. I'm happy I could talk 3x3 with you, bro. But we're going to have another pod real soon. I think we may do a World Cup prediction. If not, it'll be after the World Cup. These two men, Bas and Kyle Montgomery, have a marathon ahead of them because it's 5 to 7 days, right? It's 5 days straight or 7 days?
It's 7 days, man. And then look, all right. So before we'll get going with the Power Fives here. So with the teams that we actually think are good, World Cup is going to be a wild one because there's going to be a Masters first.
Yeah.
So Friday, Saturday is going to be the Ulaanbaatar Masters. Sunday's off. And then on Monday, 7 straight days of games start. And the first 4 are 20 games a day, which is just, I don't know, man. I think we get like 2 10-minute breaks and an hour lunch break or something, and it is brutal, bro. I'll be bringing like 4 packs of honey, some ginger shots. Yep. I'm gonna ice my throat at night and make sure that it's all good. I'm probably losing my voice twice in that stretch. But I'm excited to go back to Mongolia. I've been in, I'd say 5 or 6 years or something.
Wow. Okay.
Last time I was out there was 2019, I believe. So, yeah, man, I'm excited to go back. It's a cool country. And of course, World Cup's always just something special.
Yeah. It is. And something I'm shout out to 3x3 right now. I want to experience in real time. Fly me out there, man. Fly me out there. We're doing the work here.
We need you out there, bro. We need you out there.
I appreciate it. We usually do the top 5 predictions, but we need our esteemed colleague to do that correctly. So the next show, we'll definitely give you that. But
you don't want to do Power 5s?
Oh, you want to do Power 5s?
I'll do a Power 5.
All right, let's do a Power 5,
We'll get Kyle's info, and we'll post it on the gram later.
Okay.
For everybody to hate or judge.
All right. So things are changing. Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right, cool. So just to remind everyone, we do these Power 5s every pod. So the Power 5 teams are the teams that we think now are the strongest teams. Obviously, there's always some recency bias. We're doing this based on the Masters, but we'll take the challengers into account slightly as well. So last time around, it was me who had Amsterdam at 1, Miami at 2, Ronald Varas at 3, Toulouse at 4, Hangzhou at 5, and you had Miami at 1, Amsterdam at 2. And then Ronald Varas, Oob, and Chongming at 5. We're going 5-1.
Gotcha.
And I want to, let me get your thoughts here first.
I can go first. I can absolutely go first. Okay. So we're going from 5 up, right?
Yes.
Right now, I'm going to say this respectively. 5, I'm putting Lehman. I think they're
like it.
They're rising up, and I'm really fast. Sorry to say, they're still up there, but 4, I'm bumping down Miami. Miami
All right.
is right there at 4. Because they haven't participated in the last 2 events, but I still think they're strong. I think Vienna they're going to show. I'm keeping Rondavaris right there. I'm keeping
All right.
right
So
there at
Rondavaris
3.
3.
Number 2, I'm going to do it. And shout out to Frank Segala. Shout out to my man Joker Rambosa. I'm putting Toulouse as number 2. I think they've earned to be number 2. Number 1, because I feel the grit still coming up. And it's funny. This is interesting because I want to put Amsterdam there, but I think with that win, they're trying to go back to that number 1 spot. I think Strider's story just has unlocked something that's going to flow over into Vienna. So that's where I'm going right there. And I really want to put Amsterdam there. So that's mine. You're looking at me. Why are you looking at me?
Bro, so that means you're leaving Amsterdam off the top 5.
You're right. You know what? And I do this. Reinhard Vars, you're going down. Amsterdam, you're number 3. Amsterdam,
All
number
right.
3.
All right. I'm about to say you can't put them at that.
No, Amsterdam's number 3. Yeah, but that's my top 5.
All right, cool. So for me, I had a tough time doing this one.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to put Lehman at 5th. I wanted to put Chongming at 5th. I wanted to put Hangzhou at 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Those were my options going in because I think both Chongming and Hangzhou played 2 events, but they got to the semifinals in both.
Mm-hmm.
Lehman has gotten to the finals once, but then a quarterfinal and a pool exit for them, so that was a little rough.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Radon Vars at 5.
Okay.
We haven't seen him in the last 2 Masters, so this is recency bias. I think they looked very strong this year.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen anything from them in the last few weeks, so I am curious.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all I am for now. So 5th, I'd say Radon Vars. 4th, I'll go with Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I think they performed well to start the year. They kind of bit the dust there in Amsterdam. They came back and did all right in Marseille.
Yeah.
So 4th for them. Third, I will put Oob.
Oob. Okay.
Yes, Oob was back in the top 5 for me. That's already a major improvement because they were gone from last week. Let me tell you. But that 8th place in Chengdu is still kind of haunting me here.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and even though that was a very impressive win in Marseille, I'll still put him in 3rd in my Power 5.
Yeah.
I want to put Toulouse 2nd because they did exit in the quarterfinals in Marseille. So I like their win in Amsterdam. It was a gritty win. I think they played really, really well. But I can't put them in 1st because they exited at 5th.
Got it.
Another team that did exit in 5th in their home tournament is Amsterdam, but 4 Masters played, 3 finals made. I got to put them at 1 still.
Okay.
And it's a homer pick. I know that.
That'd be a homer. It's just that Oob did give him a little smacking with 22-15. But anyway, hey, look, at the end of the day, they still made it to the finals. They still made it to the finals. I get it. All right, so we got yours. We got mine. Kyle, you'll post yours. Round of ours, I mean, I'm excited to see if they're going to make it again. The only reason why, again, I had to take mine off, because you're right, I do got to put Amsterdam on there. Okay? Thanks for checking me. But
Just to be sure.
Just to be sure. But yeah, guys, I got Oob, Toulouse, Amsterdam, Miami, Lehman. And what was your going up from 1 to 5?
All right, so I got Amsterdam, Toulouse, Oob. What did I have at 4? Miami and Radon Vars.
All right. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun to see how it's going to, because Vienna is definitely going to see if we're making our predictions right. Because so far, we know the players are listening to the pod, and they're taking it personal. They're taking it.
They are. But look, I'm still happy we're putting all this stuff out here. So, I let everybody listen. And if somebody wants to hop onto the pod to help us out, one of the players, we're glad to have y'all.
We appreciate it. All right. So, any just final takeaways before we get out of here?
I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks because I did forget I am hosting a tournament next week, and that's the Europe Cup qualifier, which is always a very odd one because there's some countries in there that you're not sure of, players that you've never heard of. Besides that, I'm getting ready for this trip to Mongolia for the World Cup. I implore everyone to get in this beautiful game of 3x3 and watch as many as tournaments as you can before that one because that will be a big switch up, a big pause in the season. And that's not because of Vince's words. So So there's number 2 for
Is it number
today.
2?
No, I'm kidding. No, just in general, man. Look, we are in the thick of it,
Yep.
and it's 3x3 season. It's gonna be 3x3 season until the end of November.
Yep.
And we're gonna keep this train going. So yeah, hop on.
I can't wait. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. But again, tune in on FIBA 3x3 YouTube website immediately. That's FIBA 3x3 because you're going to have the women's series in Vienna from June 12th until June 14th, and then the men's series from June 13th to June 15th. We're going to hear our man, the guy, the voice, Kyle Montgomery commentating and everything. But this right here is episode 11 on Word on the Streets. Again, replace the E's with 3s. And again, we'll see y'all at the next stop. Peace.